Hey friends, and welcome to the fourth installment of my Writing a Fantasy Serial series, where I take you guys along for the journey as I learn about writing and publishing what's called a serial, and also publishing a young adult fantasy serial of my own, which I have a new title for if you haven't seen that already, but I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. First, before I get into my own serial and some more updates, if you're new to my channel or don't know what a serial is or the benefits of writing and publishing them, I have a whole playlist of videos linked down below and a blog post that would be really helpful where I share a lot of the basics already. But I did want to start off with answering a few clarifying questions I got from you guys recently. One is from Alex, and she says, what is the difference between a novella, a short novel, and a serial? Because I've described a serial where like each episode is sort of the size of a novella. So I'm going to get into that, and to do that, I have a fun example for you guys to sort of give you a little bit better of a visual. And before I get into that, I just want to say really quick hi to everybody in the live chat. I see Thomas and Danya and Ingrid and Leanne and Saden and Mary and Katie and so many of you guys. So thank you so much for hanging out with me live. Definitely let me know if you have further questions as we go through things, and just for hanging out with me. A lot of you here are pretty much here every Wednesday at 5. So love, love, love. But yeah, let's get into this fun example. Say something in the comments about how much you love Avatar, if you love it as much as me, because I love Avatar. But basically, I'm bringing this up because a serial is like a TV show, but in book form. And I've said this before because that's how I've heard other people describe it. I think it's really helpful, but I'm going to unpack it a little bit more here. So for example, Avatar: The Last Airbender is an amazing TV show series. And if you didn't know, right now, during the recording of this video, it's actually on Netflix, all of the seasons. So if you've never watched it before, you want to binge it again, it is there for you. But with a TV show like Avatar, it's where each short episode has its own mini arc, mini story arc. So you can see the little kind of arc that I've drawn over each of the episodes. And that arc kind of wraps up more or less at the end usually of the episode, but it also usually ends with a cliffhanger that leads into a continuing arc that continues through the rest of the season of that TV show, right? Everybody tracking with me? Everybody watch TV shows? But ultimately, the episodes then lead to a big season finale in the last episode that wraps up the season arc. So I have episode 20, The Siege of the North, part 2. So that's the end of Avatar, the first season. And that's like this big sort of ending to this bigger arc. So you see the bigger arc that I've sort of drawn over all of the episodes. This also can possibly end with a cliffhanger to lead into a season 2 if you're going to have a season 2. Okay, so what does this have to do with writing a serial? Well, similar to a TV show like Avatar: The Last Airbender, a serial is a series of shorter episodes, which are usually like about novella-ish sized ebooks or smaller, that are fast released, usually every couple of weeks. So instead of having one novella that sort of stands alone, you're creating a series with it. So instead of like a full-length novel series with full-length novels one after the other and a continuing storyline, you have a continuing storyline with shorter novels or novellas. So that's the difference between standalone novella and a serial. And then this actually creates bingeable content for your readers that can often help you grow your readership and keep them engaged. And after all the episodes of a season are released, often an author will package multiple episodes or all episodes into a box set, sort of like we saw with Sarah K.L. Wilson's Dragon School. You see at the end there's like a box set of a few different episodes. Or some people, if they only have a couple episodes and it fits into one novel, they'll package it into a full novel like Jesse Elliott and Kelsey Sutton did with Charlie Travesty. I hope that clarifies the structure of a serial a little bit more. They're like mini stories that have some kind of mini arc that all continually follow a longer arc, if that makes sense, and how they're sort of different from a full-length novel or a full-length novel series or a standalone novella. Definitely let me know if you guys have more questions. I feel like these visuals, hopefully, I hope that they clarify some things. And as I release my own upcoming serial, hopefully that will be one more example for you guys to check out and see how it can function. I do want to say too that there are so many different kinds of serials and different purposes that they can be used for. So I have a blog post linked down below that I got to do as a guest post on the Novel Smithy, and I actually break down a bunch of different kinds of serials, some different reasons why you would do different kinds, some of the benefits. And so if you want even more nitty-gritty details, sort of step by step with some pictures and stuff, you can check that out too. Everybody tracking with me? Everybody good? I hope that makes sense. I did get a second question, and then we're going to get into some updates about my own. And actually, hold on, I'm going to go back here because I did see that Leanne says, question, if your serial is about a journey or adventure to a destination, the book's episodes can be the different steps in the journey. So I feel like there's no question mark there. So I feel like maybe that's just you're trying to answer the question, Leanne. Let me know if I got that wrong. But yes, so if there's different steps or different points, so you're actually getting ahead of me and helping me answer, I'm just realizing, the next question, which came in from Mary on Instagram. And she says, how do I know if my story idea should be or would work as a serial or not? And so I'm going to pull up Leanne's thoughts here, because it's exactly what I would say. I would say if you have a story idea and you're like, should it be a serial? Should it be a full-length novel? Should it be, I would just start writing it. And if you can see sort of these mini arcs that are happening within your larger story, and maybe your story is getting really, really long and maybe too long for a full-length novel, then you could look at it and be like, could this work as a serial? And should I publish it in segments instead and sort of create this series kind of effect? Could I write all that up and edit it and get it produced so that I could fast release it and get a lot of like activity and agency over people getting excited of the serial. And if you go to write it and you go to start breaking it up and it's not really vibing and it really is feeling more like a full-length novel or a series of full-length novels, then you can do that, So I think that it really depends on the way you start writing it and how you feel it out. But if you have these, as Leanne is saying, just these very clear, like this is like a step, this is like a thing they have to accomplish, this is a part of the journey, this is one part of the mystery that they have to solve. You can think again as a TV show and break that up into segments. I hope that makes sense. I do break it down a lot more with some exclusive stuff I've given to my patrons. We've done some live stream stuff with some of the top tier people where I've really broken down like the structure that I use and different things like that. But hopefully this clears up a lot. Hi, Jane. Let's see, Mary, never seen it. I think it's time to, you haven't seen Avatar? It is definitely time. If you have Netflix, get into it for sure. It's amazing. Hi, Amanda. So yes, I hope that was helpful. Now we're going to get into some updates. So speaking of my own serial, so far I've revealed everything about my serial, from the fact that it's a loose fairy tale mashup featuring magical teen characters inspired by some characters like Red Riding Hood, a female Robin Hood, and Cinderella's fairy godmother, and more. I've shared the very work in progress pitch, my inspiration, plotting, and drafting process, my very tentative publishing timeline, which is now changing. So you'll see that if you go back to the previous videos. And then I've also shared some cover design and editor research I've done, and a lot more. So that's just like a quick recap of where we've been. But in this video, I'll be sharing all about my progress this past month. And as you see, if you guys haven't been here the last few videos, I sort of treat this as like a journal or a virtual video diary of my progress, so you guys can see in real time the things I expected to happen in a certain timeline and how it's actually ending up and what I learned along the way. So this past month, and actually, yes, what I did in August, that's the right month, is I finished draft 3 and I sent that off to betas and I got feedback from them, and I got feedback in a way I've never got feedback before. I just did a different way of doing it, which I wanted to share with you guys because I thought it was very interesting and fun. I also sent patrons 3 pages of sneak peeks and snippets of this story, I think just yesterday. So that wasn't technically in August. Was it? Was yesterday August? No, it was September. So I was a day late, but I'm going to count it anyway because I was really excited to share that with them. And so far, everybody sounds like they really like them, which makes me happy. I started Sarah Cannon's Publish and Thrive course, which, oh my gosh, is blowing my mind. I'm going to share that a little bit too. I also started contacting editors and cover designers and getting quotes and all that stuff. It's been so much more work to do all the research than I initially thought, but it's been really eye-opening and fun. So I'm excited to share a little bit about that. And I revealed the new series title because I've been calling it Project Handmaidens for a while. I got a new series title that will probably end up being the final one. And I created like a fun mock or fake cover for the series too, just to like announce it. So I did that during the subscriber party I hosted a couple weeks ago, where I celebrated 6,000 subscribers. So again, if you're a subscriber or you're about to hit that subscribe button, thank you so much. But it was really fun to reveal that. I'm going to reveal it one more time here for this series because I know some of you are just really excited about this series, and here definitely for all of these videos. So here we go. If you haven't seen it already, I'm about to share with you the new series title, and I just want you to keep in mind, again, this is not the real cover. This is a fake cover. I temporarily borrowed some artwork from a wonderful artist on DeviantArt just to get a feel for what my real cover could potentially look like. I'm not going to be using this as mass marketing, just like a quick like, hey, this is maybe what it could look like. So without further ado, here is the title for the overall series, Sisters of the Shadowwood. And I'm super excited about it. Again, I just have a bunch of disclaimers here that it's not real. And this is the wonderful artist that you should check out on DeviantArt if you want to check out more of their beautiful artwork because it's wonderful. But yeah, so that is super exciting. If you haven't heard it yet, I'd love to know what you think of the title. And Danya is one of my wonderful patrons. She says, I read it yesterday. It was amazing so far. Thank you, Danya. And yes, Amanda, Avatar, woo-woo. So that is where we're headed. And I did want to share at least one snippet here from the story. I shared this snippet on Instagram that gives a hint about the world and the magic system of my book, and is from the point of view of my Red Riding Hood inspired character. So I'm just going to read it out loud again. Sorry if you've seen this already, but I just want to share one of the snippets with you guys here on YouTube. So let me just make it real big for myself so I can read it. But this is from Red's perspective. She says, stepping carefully toward the Shadowwood, I pull out the axe as a gust of magic escapes the tree's splintered fibers. Whisking by my nose, it lands on my mouth like salt from the ocean, only it tastes more like sugar. I lick my lips. Like Gran's sinfully delicious gingerbread cookies, the scent threatens to lure me away from home and into the enchanted forest. The pull just as strong and just as tempting. It's the same magic the spirits supposedly blessed each person in our town with years ago, or cursed, depending on who you ask. So that's just a little fun snippet. I hope you guys enjoy that and are excited to hear more because I'm excited to share more. JJ is also a patron. I'm so glad you love it so far, JJ. Ingrid, so much. Thank you. Yes, I love like just making the magic have like a scent and like be really active, sort of like personifying it by itself. So yeah, yay, thank you, Katie. Oh, good, I'm so glad. Yay. Oh, I love all the hearts. Oh, you guys are so sweet. There's more, Anna, thank you. I'm so glad you love the title. Yay, thanks guys. Oh, you're making my day. I love it. I love sharing this with you guys. Thank you for being on the journey with me. And if you'd like to read even more snippets, again, there's 3 pages of them now available to all of my patrons. You can definitely consider joining us over there. I just want to always say a huge thank you to all my patrons because they're awesome. And yeah, and I was going to share a whole chapter from this story, but I just didn't feel like it was quite ready yet. So I shared snippets instead, but I did share the first chapter, the whole first chapter, as it currently stands, of my full-length novel that I'm also working on called On Wings of Ash and Dust. It more centers around my world of fae, of fairies, and it's really fun. So you can actually read the whole first chapter as well if you're a patron. So that was super fun. But let me get into a little bit more of the details. This is sort of the point that, like, as I express what I've been working on and what I'm learning, hopefully, as if you're working on a serial or considering working on a serial, these kind of things can help you, or can help you think through how you want to approach doing it. So I'm still editing episode 1, and that is probably, the editing process is always the longest, right? But this is just a little recap of my drafting process so far and how the word count has developed over time. So draft 3 in August ended up being 27,500 words. I sent it to betas, and this is the different thing that I tried. So I have a whole series on my channel about how I've run beta readers in the past and what I learned from that. And I have like templates for you guys and all kinds of stuff. With this group, I kept it really small, which was something that at the end of that other series, I said that if I do this again, which I would do this again, when I do beta readers again, I would do an even smaller group. So I did a smaller group. And then I at first got some feedback by asking them to fill out some Google forms. And so that was really helpful. It was a really easy way to organize all the feedback. But then at the end, instead of having them give just all of their feedback in a form, I really wanted to dialogue about that with them about a few things, especially because there's some things that's coming down the pike in future episodes that I wanted to make sure were getting foreshadowed in the first episode. And if I was doing that well, what I should add. And I had some like plot holes and like different things I just wanted to like troubleshoot with them. So I did a video chat very similar to this. I went live on the screen and showed them things, and they were in the chat box. And I got to talk to them live. I think we talked for like an hour, hour and a half or something. And these are all people, I think all of them are in my Patreon group. So it was like people that I've known for a while. So you might not feel comfortable doing this with like totally random people, but if you know your beta readers fairly well and you trust them, this was just a really cool format. And it was like a learning curve at first, but it was fun to be like, okay guys, like this is this issue, or this is something that I know you guys brought up, or what did you think about this? And like, this is like my idea, or like how I want to think through this, or like, these are 3 different options that I'm thinking about doing with this character. Which one do you like more? And it was just super, 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 super fun. So I think I would definitely do that again, maybe just again at the end of them reading everything, maybe not every single like chapter or anything, but it was different and fun, and I just wanted to share that because it might give you some new ideas for yourself. And I'm still working on an editing plan in Trello, which I do want to do like an update like Trello video, because there's other features that I've learned about since making my past Trello editing videos that I want to share with you guys at some point. So look forward to that. I see a question. Dania, how many chapters do you have? That is a good question. Shoot. Some of my beta readers are in the chat right now. I don't know that if I pull it up right now, that if I'll disappear from the live stream. That's a really good question though. I feel like, gosh, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll look it up at the end so that if going there sort of like disrupts the live stream, that it won't do that, because I don't want to do that. But Donnie, ask me that question at the end because I would love to answer it for you. Let me get through a couple other updates. Like I said, I started taking Sarah Cannon's Publish and Thrive course officially. This is for authors who plan to self-publish, and it is especially good. Her whole strategy, it's not just for people who want to write series, but it really, a lot of her ideas and a lot of what she talks about are really great for authors who want to write and publish series. And that's sort of part of her strategy, and building a backlist and like all this different kind of stuff. I'm learning so much. So the content is awesome. I'm glad to report I'm about halfway through the course right now. You get lifetime access to all the content. There's a weekly Q&A, a live Q&A, which I really love. It's like 2 hours long. I personally got to ask some further questions about serials and using Kindle Unlimited and different things like that. So I'm excited at some point to share that, some of those details with you guys. And some of the things I'm learning is slightly adjusting possibly how I publish and how I market the serial. So I can update you guys with that kind of stuff too. JJ, you are the best. 26 chapters. And I have 5 acts within that. Not that you would see that in the final serial, but yeah. And I think is one of those chapters the epilogue, because there is an epilogue too that sort of acts as like the cliffhanger. I call them scenes. That is true too. I didn't officially say that each of those scenes would necessarily be a chapter. I think they would work pretty well as being chapters, but I might sort of put some of them together. And that's part of my, as I write too, I try not to like get my brain too stuck in chapters. I try to get like just the completed scenes done, and then I figure out how do I want to splice these up. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. Yay. I can't wait to have it out for you guys so that you can read it. Thank you, JJ. The epilogue is after chapter 26, so it's an additional one. Okay, and that's one super short. Cool. So yeah, more spoilers for you guys. There's an epilogue, at least right now. Yeah, so thank you so much, JJ. I really appreciate you looking for me. Yeah, so this course has been really good. So if you're considering self-publishing, I'm sure she'll offer it again. If you're not following her on YouTube already, you definitely should be, because she gives a lot of information away for free. But it's been really awesome, and I can't wait to apply all the things I'm learning to publishing and marketing this series. So, oh, I just saw another question. Or a couple things. Let's see. Ingrid said, I too stopped using chapters when writing and only scenes. It's so freeing. It is so freeing. I can't explain fully why. I'm gonna have to think on it and like report back, but it's super freeing. What was your biggest struggle so far? Dania, that's a really good question. I think off the top of my head, one of them is definitely just like making a gauge of how many words should this story be. And I'm trying not to like super focus on that right away. And that's why my drafts have progressively gotten bigger and bigger as I'm like adding and writing things. Try not to focus on the word count, but it's the structuring and the pacing and just having the confidence that this story sort of stands on its own more or less, but then confidently like leads the reader into really wanting to read the rest of the series and keep going. And so those kind of things of like, I know the theory and I know how it's worked in other people's serials because I've read them, but to have the confidence that I'm actually doing it well enough, that's where my beta readers come in. And so far they left the episode 1. It's in its current state because there were definitely things that like I had placeholders and different things in there too. But one of my questions for them and what I would ask your beta readers to answer for you is, did this feel like it had a mini arc? Did it feel like it had some kind of wrap up in the end, that it closed off like one question that was sort of pulled through the first episode? And then, you know, did you feel like it had enough of a cliffhanger, enough of a draw and a hook to then you really need to read the rest of the series? So that I think that, and then plotting out future episodes while I'm still writing the first episode. And I'm going to talk about in a little bit if I'm going to be drafting the next few episodes, because I'm trying to, I'll just say it right now, like I'm still trying to figure out, because this is my first time doing this, do I get episode 1 like, you know, polished and fully done, you know, or before I move on, or do I sort of put episode 1 aside because it's in a pretty good place in the sense of like, even if it's not fully edited, I think I know what I need to do with it. But now it's like looking to the future episodes and being like, do I fast draft those just to see like what might change as I write? And then so I can then go back to episode 1 and plant other things and like adjust other things to make, you know, the whole series satisfying. So it would be like definitely even harder if I was trying to plot and write out a full length novel series, because that's a ton more words. But I think that's the other challenge. I wouldn't say struggle. It's just a challenge to like feel like you're doing that well, and to figure out what's the order of operations for you as a writer, what makes the most sense for you to like move ahead and then come back and edit more, or is it to like try to get each one sort of done as you go. So I hope that answers your question. Ingrid, I love all your thoughts. I'm excited to read this. I think it's maybe because when it's just writing scenes, you're just focusing on the story, not how the book will look like. I think it's just stripping away an unnecessary layer to drafting. Yes, this right here. I agree. I approve this message. I'm with you, Ingrid. So yeah, so then figuring out the chapters is like a future Brittany problem. Dania, I am having the same problem, but I think I will do the scene now to help. Yes, I think that will free you up for sure. And I will definitely report, because I think I'm going to end up doing some fast drafting this. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, is like moving ahead and then going back to episode 1. So I will let you know how that goes and if I come up with any more tips for you. All right, everybody doing good still? Just have a couple more things to share with you because I started contacting editors and cover designers. At first it was like, just contacting them and like getting some initial information. This is my first time doing this for any project. So I'm really excited to be at the stage, but there was a learning curve. And so I created spreadsheets to start comparing all of the different information, because all of a sudden I had like tons of emails and like back and forth with people and realizing I had asked this question for this person, but not this person. And so the spreadsheets, really, really helpful. I also started tracking prices, what's included, start time, turnaround time, and more. So, and I asked for samples, especially for the editors. They will usually give you a sample edit. I did learn some things about asking for sample edits for developmental edits, because that is harder for editors to do, but there's different ways that sometimes they offer that. And then I've also figured out a way that I could sort of trial out some illustrators. That process is actually it's not like a free thing, but it's a way that I figured out to sort of test out if their styles match what I'm looking for. And I'll just say right now that I am talking to some illustrators and working out and seeing if that is going to be the direction I want to go and who I would want to work with and stuff. So I'm actually planning on breaking down the whole process, showing my spreadsheets, showing all the details, sharing the spreadsheets in case you guys want to use those. And I will do that at some point later on down the line. I'm going to share it with my patrons probably actually next month or the end of this month. It might be with the top tier patrons. They are interested in me sort of breaking this down for our exclusive live stream at the end of the month. So I'm probably going to share everything with them first and then figure out like a more concise way of sharing with you guys at a later date. So definitely learning so much. It's like a nerve-wracking and super exciting process all at the same time. So, and there's budgeting, there's all kinds of things you should be thinking about. So we'll talk about that at some point for sure. Yeah, so I mean, that's sort of my updates. That's where I'm at. I'm excited as the months go on to share with you guys even more like sneak peeks about who these characters are and more about the story. I just want some details a little more solidified before I say, hey, we're gonna have this in the story, and then wait a minute, now it's a change direction. But if you would like more insider scoop, again, I share a lot with my patrons, and they see all the messy, like, I know I said this, but now we're changing. So that goes on over there. But next week, if you have any further questions, put them in the chat before we wrap up and I will try to answer them as best I can. But next week we'll be back here at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as usual. And I'm doing another Scrivener video with Fiction Technician. I don't know if Jane's still here, but I did see her in the comments at some point. And we're going to share our character bios. We both have like slightly different versions and ways that we do them. We're going to show how we break that down in Scrivener and sort of like a Scrivener template. And then what I'll probably do is similar to what I did in the last Scrivener video kind of template thing that I did, is that I'll also try to make a version that if you don't have Scrivener, you can download like a Google Doc or Word doc kind of version so that you can use that yourself. Ingrid, the characters are amazing. People definitely have a lot of good things to look forward to. Ingrid is one of my beta readers, and she was one of my beta readers for Ash and Dust as well. Super appreciate all her thoughts, and my heart is so happy that you're saying you love the characters. The characters, guys, my characters are my favorite. I'm so like, I'm over the moon excited to like introduce you to not only the characters in Sisters of the Shadowwood, but also in Ash and Dust. I've been holding on to those characters for like over 2 years, and I cannot wait to share all the things with you guys. So I hope you're excited. And let's see what's coming up. So plan for this month, September, I'm going to so I was going to start draft 4. Okay, so I have to figure out, am I editing draft 4 or am I fast drafting episode 2? Or editing, yeah, draft 4 for episode 1. That's what I meant to say. So hopefully that makes sense. And then I'm going to be reevaluating my publishing timeline. I might have to push some stuff back because I'm always advantageous. I'm always like, I can get this done like uber quick. So I might have to adjust that a little bit. But that's fine. We learn, we live, we learn. And then I want to decide on an editor and cover designer soon. So I'm really excited. Thank you guys again for being here with me and watching and interacting and asking questions. I'm really excited that a bunch of you are interested in writing serials too. I haven't quite figured out how I want to do this because I really shouldn't be taking on any additional things right now, but I am just going to say that it is my heart at some point in the not so distant future to have some kind of way to gather all people that are interested in writing serials and that will be publishing serials, to have like a support group, to have like a place people can share resources, ask questions, and eventually as people publish serials to help support them and share them and sort of, you know, raise awareness that these kind of stories are a thing and they're really cool, and sort of get feedback from people. And I just think that that would be really fun. I just know that I shouldn't take on one more thing. So I've been trying to figure out how to do that well and to do that in a way that would be helpful but not overwhelming for me. So if that's something that sounds helpful to any of you that have been thinking about writing serials and would like a support group of some kind, we do have a small group on my Patreon. We have a thread in our Discord group where people can basically do the same thing, but I know there's a lot of people that aren't able to commit to Patreon right now. So trying to figure that out. So Mary says that would be wonderful. I'm so glad. If you guys have ideas, let me know. And Dania says, yes, please. Love it. And before I read Katie's, JJ, thank you. JJ's another one of my betas, and she was a beta for Ash and Dust as well too. So I'm really glad that you love my characters too. Thank you. Let's see, Katie, I had an idea that I thought would make a much better TV show, but I don't want to write scripts. It's crazy as much as I read, but I didn't know serials like this were a thing. It's perfect. Yeah, and I would definitely, I've shared this in past videos of the series, but Sarah K.L. Wilson has a few interviews here on YouTube. If you search her name in YouTube, she has a few interviews about her writing her Dragon School serial and publishing that, and that was one of the first things that I saw, because it's hard. I was actually talking to Mary, Mary, earlier today. It's hard you can't search serial really into Amazon, but they are a thing. And I would love to find more, especially in the fantasy genre. I would love to see more published. But yeah, it's not like, it's a thing that's been around for a long, long time in different ways. And again, if you go read that blog post, there's some of that information in there. But yeah, if you have an idea for a TV show, but you rather write in book form, there's definitely a market out there for that. And I'd love to see more of it. See, serials could be the next trend to take over the literary world. I'm here for it, right? And I mean, you know, with Netflix and Hulu and all these different like binge, you know, things for TV and for movies, that, you know, like, I feel like for the book world, that would be so amazing, and is so amazing. Just, it would be cool to see more of them. Trying to find info on serials is hard. Even finding serials on Amazon, it is. So yeah, I got to think through the support group thing, because I think that would be really great. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. And definitely chat with me if you have other questions on Instagram. And yeah, that's pretty much the place. That and email would be the best places to reach out to me if you have ideas or questions. And yeah, but we'll see you next week for talking about character bios. I love characters. And I think that's it. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.